Chris, I'm glad you could come today to start PCIT. I'm glad that you were able to work out with your mom to be able to watch Gloria and Casey so that we could have this time to go over everything. I brought lots of notes because I want to make sure that I cover absolutely everything. Today I'm going to be doing most of the talking, but I also have handouts for you to take home with you, so don't worry about trying to remember everything. I'll be able to do that. I wanted to talk a little bit because when you were here last time with Casey, who's going to be coming with you every week, you did a lot of play with her, and some she loved and she had a great time, but when you had to make the rules, boy, all the things that you shared with me came out, and we saw her get pretty upset and throw her little fit, as you call them, a little meltdown. So it was good for me to see, and you said that was pretty typical for her.
Absolutely.
So that was terrific. And the other thing that I looked over, you filled out a lot of information. I appreciate you taking the time to fill out all those measures. And what that told me was, yes, indeed, not only did we see Casey's meltdowns, but we also looked at all that you filled out, and what I found was that you are reporting that she has some pretty significant problems with some of her behaviors. They tend to get her in trouble in kindergarten. At home, even going out to the grocery store, all those kinds of things. And that this is causing a little bit of stress for you. And our goal is by the end of our PCIT treatment that it's going to be a breeze. People will walk up to you in the grocery store and say, what wonderful, well-behaved children you have, and that will be grand, and you and your mom will be on the same page. And I'm hopeful that maybe her schedule will free up a little and she'll be able to join us soon.
That sounds impossible, but I'm looking forward to it.
Good. I have great faith in you. When we think about parent-child interaction therapy, or PCIT, it involves two phases. And so what we're going to do, the first phase is called the child-directed interaction, which she'll love because, as the name suggests, she gets to sort of be in charge of that. And I'm going to teach you today some skills that I use as a psychologist, that play therapists use, good teachers use, and other people that work with children can use. And we're going to make sure you use these skills too. And you already have some great grounding. We're just going to build on what you have. But this is going to help your child learn to calm down and learn how to handle frustration when things don't go her way, that she's a little bit less angry. We're going to work on improving her attention span. I know you said that's like a gnat, so we're going to work on improving her attention span, really building the relationship with you. You already, when you talk about her, I can tell how much you love your daughter, but you just wish her behavior were better. But we're going to take that relationship that you have with her and really sort of ratchet it up and bring it to a whole new level.
Okay.
And through that relationship, we're going to be able to change some of her behaviors, whether she wants to change them or not. And the good thing is I think she's really going to want to. She's really going to work hard to do that. So we're going to strengthen your already warm relationship and have it so that you actually look forward to that time with her rather than thinking, oh gosh, when is she going to go to bed? So we're going to do that in the first phase. The second phase of PCIT is called the parent-directed interaction. And that's going to involve some specific skills that we're going to talk about and put in place that are going to help her improve her minding and her listening, so that she's doing what you want her to do. The first time you tell her to do something, she'll actually do it. I know that seems like a pipe dream, but I promise you I have such faith in this treatment, and I think you're going to do wonderful. Each phase of treatment takes about 5 to 6 weeks, but we'll look together every week. So there won't be anything that is hidden. It'll all be very transparent. We're going to talk about it every week. We're going to go through it every week so you'll know exactly how close we are of moving forward. I'll give you that feedback and we'll do it together. So if we work together, the two of us work hard together, I think we can make a big difference. As I said, today is going to be a lot of teaching. And we're going to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of each session that we have together sort of going over how did the week go. We'll talk about what kind of skills you've been practicing, how those are going, other issues that may have come up during the week that may not even be related to PCIT. And then we'll spend a little bit of time. I'll watch you from behind the mirror each week, and I'll watch for just a few minutes. And during that time, I'll be taking a look at how your skills are developing that I'm going to be teaching you today. And then I'll coach you. And so by watching you, that'll give me an idea of what are the skills that we want to keep going with, and what are the ones we want to strengthen, and what are some we might want to change a little bit. So we'll do this together as a team. It is going to be so important. PCIT runs pretty fast. And I know that you want it changed yesterday, and I understand that the teacher is calling you all the time from kindergarten. It's hard to have a job and be picking her up from kindergarten because she's hitting children or disobeying the teacher. And you've also got Gloria at home that you're trying to balance. Even with all of that, I want to emphasize how important it is that you come each week. And I know we're getting ready to come up with some bad weather, so please call me so I know that you're okay if something comes up, because life happens and you may not be able to be here every week, but that's the goal. If you can be here each week with you and Casey, then I think we'll be able to move much quicker over the course of treatment. Okay. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds fair.
I want to give you a little bit of an overview of what the child-directed interaction is going to be about. As I said, we're going to be working on skills that lots of therapists and people that work with children use. And we're going to look at all those goals, improving attention. We're going to look at even her speech. I think you'll see big changes in her speech. Her self-esteem will go up. Anger and frustration tolerance will be better. And I am guessing that as her ability to handle anger and frustration get better, that you're going to feel a little better with anger and frustration as well toward her. Social skills. So we're going to help her learn how to give and take and wait her turn and share and all those things that you told me that you really wanted her to be able to do, so that she can have friends, that people want to play with her rather than saying, no, she's the one that gets in trouble all the time. And again, doing it all in the context of that warm and secure relationship. Now, I know you're thinking, well, okay, this all sounds great. I want that warm relationship. But you need to understand, we got to do this behavior first. So can we do the minding and listening piece first and then do the warm, fuzzy relationship building? And most parents ask that, and I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell them. That once Casey becomes a little bit calmer in her behavior and starts enjoying that time with you every day, it's going to be easier for her to accept the limits and just accept discipline. And we're going to take some of the skills that you're going to learn in CDI and actually use those in the second phase, in the parent-directed phase. So we're going to focus on one, and then we'll move forward to the other. But PCIT has wonderful research behind it, and because so many families asked, can we do that other first? They actually did that. They looked to see what happens. And what they found was that, believe it or not, whether you got the CDI first or the PDI first, kids still minded. So that sounds good, right?
Sounds perfect.
But the difference was the children that got the CDI first were so much more excited to mind. They were working hard to please their parents. Their relationship seemed warm and positive, and it seemed like a much calmer interaction. Whereas the children that got the PDI first, they minded, but they were more anxious, they seemed a little bit more fearful, and the relationship was not as warm. And from what you've shared with me, that's a goal that you have, is to have that connection that you really want with your daughter.
We need it.
Yeah, so we're gonna do that, the CDI first, and as I said, it's gonna be only a few weeks, so we'll get to the minding and listening pretty quickly. So we're going to start going over the skills, the same skills that therapists use, and we're going to think about how to apply these skills. And we're going to use these skills in what we're going to call special time. That's going to be a therapeutic time that occurs every single day. And we're going to ask that you're going to use these skills for a certain amount of time at home where you can sort of control the situation. And we'll talk a little bit about how to set up special time a little bit later. Okay. But I want to talk about what you're going to do during this special time. Okay. And actually, you know what, before I even get to what you're going to do, I'm going to talk about what I want you to avoid. Because there's a few things during this special time with Casey, and I'm going to stay with Gloria too, because Casey's 5 and Gloria's almost 3 next month. Yep. So we're going to make sure that what's good for one is good for the other, and then that way everybody in the house is on the same page.
Sounds great.
So what I want you to do is we're going to talk about the don'ts. And the first thing that I'm going to have you avoid during special time is commands. Because the first phase of PCIT is child-directed. So this is going to be a time that we're going to let Casey sort of lead the play, be in charge of the play. And commands are anything that would tell her what you expect her to do. Okay. So there are different kinds of commands. There are commands like, hand me a crayon. You can even say, please hand me the crayon. That sounds very nice, but what you're doing is directing the play of what Casey's supposed to do. And when you do that, there's a chance that you can have some conflict, because if she says, no, I don't want to, which
she probably will.
She might. That can lead to some distance or some stress or some conflict in the relationship. And it takes over the lead. If you tell her she might be playing with the potato heads and then you tell her you need the crayon, it shifts what she's doing. But sometimes commands can be really subtle, and they're called what we call an indirect command. Would you like to hand me the crayon? What's she going to say?
She can say yes or no, but she's probably going to say no.
Absolutely, she'll probably say no. Or let's put the crayons away now and play with the potato head. That's really directing her to what you want to do. So again, you run into that chance of a conflict. And this is a really fun time for the two of you to be together and to build that relationship rather than have any conflict at all. So we're going to get rid of those those commands. Okay. The direct ones that just say tell her directly what to do, and those indirect, sort of subtle ways of leading the play. Okay. The second thing I'm going to take away from you is probably the hardest thing I'm going to ask you or tell you that I want you to avoid, and that is questions. Okay. And if you think about it, about 60 to 70% of conversations that we have with our children are in the form of questions. What did you do at school today? Who'd you play with? Did you have lunch? What did you learn? What are you working on? What are you going to do now? And we just bombard children with questions, and they answer very few, or they give us sort of fine, okay. And what happens is they start just tuning our questions out. Questions also are a way to lead the conversation. She may have wanted to tell you about this wonderful project she's working on, and you switched and asked about school, and so now she has to switch the conversation. So it can take it away. And sometimes questions can give some mild disapproval. You may say, are you really going to color the elephant green? And so maybe she's thinking, oh gosh, I picked the wrong color, I should have picked purple. But it gives some small disapproval. And sometimes it can be that you're not listening. She says, Dad, I know what we can do with the potato head. And you say, what can we do with the potato head? Or she says, I'm going to put a nose on it. And you say, are you putting a nose on? Well, Dad, I just told you I was putting a nose on. And if you were listening, you would know that. So we're going to take those away. So we're going to take away questions that pull for information, all those who, what, where, when, how, and why. I know, it's very
And
hard.
it's going to sound
This
tough.
is going to be really hard. Sometimes I think, gosh, when you start paying attention to it, I think it looks like I've got you hooked up with electric shock, because you'll start flinching every time you hear yourself and you start catching it, because that's so much what we want, the way that we normally talk to children. But I think you're going to be fine as you start catching them, and this will become very easy. So we're going to get rid of the who, what, where, when, how, and why. But we're also going to get rid of what I call tag-ons. So you're making a potato head, aren't you?
I do that a
These
lot.
are blue feet, right? So it's a statement that gets spoiled with that tag-on questions, and we want to avoid those.
Okay.
And then I want you to remember way back in school where you learned that you could make any statement you said a question just by raising your voice. So you could say, you have blue feet. Or you could say, you have blue feet. And one says, I absolutely am positive you have blue feet. The other one says, I'm not sure what you're doing with the blue feet, or why you have the blue feet, or even if you have blue feet. So again, it may be one of those things that for Casey, she may hear as mild disapproval, or that you're really not paying attention to what she's saying or what she's doing. So we're not going to have any commands, no questions. So the last thing we're going to avoid is criticism. And when I watched your play, you didn't have any kind of things like, oh, that's an ugly picture you're making, or you're terrible to figure out how to play with the table. You didn't do any of that.
I hope not.
No. But we're going to look at other ways that children may hear criticism. So if she's playing and she puts the feet up here on her potato head, you might say, oh, Casey, it doesn't go that way. And for her, she may hear it as, I messed up. I did something that Dad doesn't like. Or that you have to point out how it goes. See, you have to put it this way, or put that way. And again, that's some of the commanding, but when we point out mistakes, sometimes again, it can get in and undermine the close relationship we're really working on during just a few minutes a day in special time. So I'm going to give you some words that we're going to avoid, because one of the things we're working on is self-esteem. And for Casey, what we know is that during the day she may hear a lot of things about what she's doing right or wrong, more often wrong.
Right.
And so I'm going to take away some words for you. I'm going to take away no, don't, stop, quit, and not. She hears those all day long, at school, at home, from your mom, and that's okay. And you need those words. Those words are extremely important right now for you with Casey and her behavior. Right. But when children hear those words a lot, no, don't, stop, quit, and not, it does affect their self-esteem. So for just special time, that therapeutic time we're going to put in place every day, I want you to avoid no, don't, stop, quit, and not.
Okay, so this isn't throughout the day. This is
just during this small amount of time.
Okay, I was getting a little nervous about. Okay.
So, so there were three big things I wanted you to avoid, and I want to go over those real quickly. You remember what the first one was?
You were talking about commands first.
Commands, right? Because you want to let her lead the play. The second one is the hardest thing that it's going to have to be, that I'm going to ask you to avoid.
That was the questions, because I know that was going to be tough.
That is going to be really hard. And then the third one that I want you to avoid?
Criticizing her.
Criticizing her. And those subtle things, the no, don't, stop, quit, and not. And I have it all written on the page so you'll remember.
Okay.
And I know you're thinking, okay, so I get it. I'm going to have this time with her that she's in charge of the play, and I'm not giving commands, I'm not asking questions, and I'm not using any of the words that normally I would use 100 times with her. So I sit quietly and watch her play. But no. We're going to fill it up.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you several skills that we're going to do that are going to help meet all the goals of the child-directed interaction, building that self-esteem, reducing anger and frustration on everybody's part, improving her attention and language and building that warm, solid relationship while we also improve her pro-social skills, the sharing and turn-taking and all the ways to get along with friends. And we're going to call these the pride skills. And so we're going to look at a skill that goes for each letter, P-R-I-D-E, which will be an easy way to do it. And that'll be our shorthand. So as I coach you, as I talk to you through the little bug in the ear, I might just say, okay, Chris, we're going to practice pride skills. And that'll be a quick way for you to remember what we're going to do. So I want to go through each of these with you. The first one that I'm going to ask you to do during your special time with Casey is praise. Praise is a skill that is probably one of the most powerful ways we know to change behavior. It works for everybody. The more you hear praise, the more you look to have that praise. And sometimes parents will say, oh, no, I don't want to spoil my child, and I don't want to overpraise her. And I would ask you, think back over your last week of work.
Okay.
Too much praise?
No, never.
The boss
No,
would come in
zero
and say,
praise.
oh my gosh, Chris, you were doing such an amazing job at work. I've never seen anybody work as hard as
That's never
you.
happened.
So, and for children too, they work hard all day long, and I think we need to think about how to praise them too. It praises and compliments their behavior, and what we know about praise is the more we praise, the more we're going to get that behavior. But there's different kinds of praises. All praise is good, some praise is better. So there are what we call label praises and unlabeled praises. So if I say to you, great job, outstanding, way to go, fantastic, what do you have to do to get me to say those things again?
Boy, I don't really know.
Right. It feels good, but I don't know what to do to get you to say it again. So what we're going to do is give her what we call label praises. Label praises will let Casey know exactly what it is that you liked. Good job staying at the table. I'm proud of you for playing gently with the toys. Thank you for sharing. So when she hears thank you for sharing, then she knows immediately, if I want that wonderful praise from Dad again, all I have to do is share. So the more that she praises, the more that you praise her, the more likely you are to see that behavior again. So everybody feels good. And I promise you, praise will work for Casey to change and improve behavior, and for Gloria. But I'll tell you a secret, it'll also work with your mom. So
I don't know if anything will work with Mom.
If there's something that your mom's doing that you want her to keep doing, then praise her for it, and she's more likely to do that again. You know, I know you said you had a cat. Probably that's the one animal in the world it may not work for.
True.
But we know that praise is the best way. Your coworkers, your girlfriend, there's so many ways that we can change behavior just by letting somebody know what we think they're doing well.
Okay.
So we're going to put the P in there for praise. The R in pride stands for reflect. And what we're going to do is reflect or mirror back your child's talking. And when we reflect, we sort of paraphrase. It can be direct or we can do it sort of. So the child says, I found yellow hair. And to reflect her speech, you would say, yes, you found yellow hair.
Okay.
So you can tell it, you can say it right back to her. Or she says, I'm going to build a really, really, really tall building. And you might say, you're building a skyscraper. So you can teach. It's a wonderful way to let her know, to teach new words, to let her know you're listening. When she says something and you reflect it back, there is no doubt in her mind that you have heard what she says. And sometimes what we see with kids is that they'll say, she may say, Dad, I'm going to make a potato. And you say, uh-huh. I'm going to make a potato. Yes, I'm going to make a potato head. I know. I'm going to make a potato head. Until finally you say, I heard you the first 6 times.
Right.
So by reflecting, she says, Dad, I'm going to make a potato head. And you say, you are going to make a potato head. right away she knows you're listening, and it'll cut all that over and over and over again down. It shows you're accepting what she's saying. It's a really nice way to increase and improve language. She says, my potato head has 2 foots. Since you can't say no, it's not
don't
right.
stop, or all those things.
And you can't say it doesn't sound like that. You can just say what it is. Your potato head has 2 feet. So it's a nice way to improve language without using any of the no, don't, stop, quits, and nots.
Okay.
So we'll do that. It may feel a little bit awkward at first, but it will become very second nature to you pretty quickly. But it shows you really are wanting to listen to her. So we're going to reflect that speech for her. The I in pride is imitate. So just as the reflection is a mirror of her talking, imitate is going to be the mirror of her play. So if she makes a potato head, then you're going to make a potato head.
Okay.
If she colors, then you color.
Okay.
And as close as possible, you're going to mirror her play. It does a couple things. One, it keeps you from taking over the lead. You can't, if she's building a potato head, you can't color because it shifts the focus to coloring.
Okay.
So this will keep you one step behind her, just like reflection keeps her in charge of the conversation. It helps you keep your attention focused on what she's doing so that you know exactly what you need to do to imitate her. But it's fun, and it says to her, you have such great ideas. That wonderful label, praise. You have such great ideas of how to build the potato head. I want to do it just like you. And what you'll start seeing is that when you start looking, she says, oh, I'm going to find an ear. And then you say, oh, I'm going to find an ear too. Then right away, she hears that you want to do what she does. Okay. And so you can do it right together. Now, this is why PCIT is for young children. If you had an 11-year-old or a 15-year-old, and every time that child said something, you repeated it back, oh no. Oh. Remember when you were growing up and we had that copy game where you would repeat something and your parents would say, you two be quiet and stop doing. Little children, your Casey's age and Gloria's age, absolutely love it. If they feel like what they're doing or what they're saying is so important that you're going to do it or say it too, right away you have earned tons of brownie points. So that's why we do PCIT with very young children and not with children that are 10, 12, 15 years old.
Okay.
So we're praising, reflecting, imitating, but we have some time because we took away the questions and commands and all those critical words. So I'm going to add one more thing, and that is to describe. And so the D in pride is for describe, that you describe the positive things, the appropriate things that Casey is doing. The best analogy that I have for this is, do you like sports?
Love sports.
Me too. So right now, let's think we're in football season.
Okay.
So you are going to be the color commentator.
Okay.
You are going to be the Al Michaels of your child's play.
Okay.
So when your child does something, you're going to describe it. So you're going to be saying things like, you're looking for the potato head. You found a green arm. You're looking for more things. You pulled out a red tongue. So you're going to describe everything that Casey is doing. And you can make it fun and interesting by describing it. It gives her information about what she's doing. You can comment on it. You're making a face on the potato head. You become that little voice for her to help her stay focused on what she's doing. You're looking for more pieces. Now you found a tongue. You're making a face. Because sometimes children with very short attention spans are so busy doing things that they're really not attending to it. So you describing, you being that little play-by-play announcer for her is going to help her focus and improve her attention span. It keeps her in the lead because, again, you can't describe anything if she's not doing it. So it keeps her in the lead. You're modeling good speech, you're modeling vocabulary for her, and again, you're going to build that attention. So you're praising, reflecting, imitating, describing, and you're avoiding commands, questions, and any of those critical words.
Okay.
The last thing that I'm going to add, because pride is Pride, is something that I hope is going to happen as you work together with your pride skills. And that's to really enjoy this wonderful special time with Casey. And I know that's what you're looking forward to. That you're going to be happy when you play with her. You're going to be enthusiastic and warm. And this is going to be a wonderful time that you're going to look forward to each day and that she will look forward to each day. And you'll hear her wonderful laughter. You'll feel much more genuine and positive with her. So this is going to be a time that's going to become truly special for you and for Casey and for you and Gloria. So if we think through the pride skills, again, let's go over those one more time. I'm taking away commands, questions and the critical words,
okay.
the no, don't, stop, quit, and not. So let's think about what I gave you that we're going to be really working on that spell pride.
Okay.
The P stands for?
That was the praise.
To praise. Let her know exactly what you like that she's doing. The R?
That was something like reflect.
Right, correct. It's reflect. It's that mirror of speech.
Okay.
And then there's that other mirror of play. It's the I.
That was something like imitating what she's doing.
Right, right. That I imitates that. And then you're going to do D.
That was the Al Michaels describe.
Right. You're going to be the color commentary for her play. And then you're going to do it all. And at the end, you're going to truly E this.
Enjoy it.
You're going to really enjoy it. Right. And I think you're going to have a nice special time with your girls each day. But sometimes, I know this is hard to believe, but sometimes Casey may misbehave.
Can't believe it, not even for a second.
Not even for a second. So we need to think about, are there things that she does that are good? We're using our pride skills for that. We're praising, describing, all of those wonderful skills. But if she does something that is inappropriate, we don't want to give her the attention for that. So we need to think about, how do we handle inappropriate behavior? So let's talk about two different types. One is that annoying, irritating kinds of behaviors. Things like whining, making ugly faces at you, sticking her tongue out at you. It is it's yelling or screaming at you, calling you names. I think about behaviors that aren't going to kill you, but they're really going to get under your skin. Okay. They're behaviors that are designed to sort of poke at you. Okay. And we want to think about those irritating and annoying behaviors, and the way we're going to handle those is to ignore them. Now that doesn't mean we're going to let her get away with them, okay. Because what she really wants is for you to pay attention to her. What she really wants is to know that she gotcha. So you're going to just ignore. You are going to play with your potato head, you're going to color, you're going to maybe get a different toy, but she does not exist. She has disappeared from your world when that annoying or irritating behavior starts. I have to tell you the truth, that once you ignore a behavior that she's used to poking you with, it will get worse first. So if she whines and you don't say anything, Dad, this is just so hard, I can't do it. And she's used to saying, here, honey, I'll help you. Right. Or yes, you can. No, these are just stupid toys and I can't stand them. If you attend to that, she'll just keep whining. Okay. We're going to ignore, and she's going to think, oh, he didn't hear me. Dad, this is really, really hard. And you're still going to ignore. You're not going to look at her. You're not going to smile. You go into robot mode, blank face. She doesn't exist. Dad, I can't find the other green arm. I can't believe you're not helping. she's going to get louder and louder and louder, hoping that she can just get you. So I want you to think of your favorite song, think of a beautiful place you wish you could be, but you're not going to pay attention to her. You're going to be somewhere else, because any attention you give her, gotcha, and she'll do again.
Okay.
And it'll keep it up. So it'll get worse first, and then it'll get better. But what we want to make sure is that as soon as she says, I found a blue arm, or anything appropriate, bam, she gets your full undivided attention.
Okay.
If she says that, you could use reflection and say, you did find a blue arm. You could use describe and say, you pulled a blue arm out of the box. You might even give a label praise. I like the way that you kept trying to find an arm.
Okay.
So letting her know, and consistency is going to be so important for this. So things that are annoying and irritating, we're going to ignore. But there are some behaviors that sometimes we can't ignore. And those are any kind of destructive or aggressive behaviors. Okay. So with the irritating, annoying ones that get under our skin, you're gonna ignore. As soon as it stops, you're gonna comment on a positive one. She says, can you help me find it? Without whining, you're gonna say, thank you for asking me so nicely, or any of those praise. Look for opportunities for those positives, for those annoying ones. But then there's those others, the hitting, the throwing something at you, anything that cannot be ignored, any of those destructive or aggressive behaviors, breaking all your crayons, anything like that. What we're going to do is, bam, that behavior occurs, play stops.
What if she tantrums?
Now let's think about that. If she throws a tantrum, is she hurting you physically?
No, she usually just kicks. Like if I won't talk to her, she'll get on the floor and start kicking her feet and things.
Okay. So that's something that's not aggressive and not destructive.
It's annoying.
It's extremely annoying.
And
frustrating. But even so, what do you think I'm going to want you to do if she does that?
Well, based on your rules, it's just ignore it?
Ignore it, absolutely. Will it be hard? Absolutely, positively. It will be very hard to ignore that, but kicking and screaming on the floor. But we're going to ignore it.
Okay.
She'll kick and scream louder and whine more. But as soon as she takes a breath, maybe she's catching her breath so she can explode again. Oh, now that you're quiet, I love playing with you. So that she knows what it was that got your attention back. Or she stands up, because maybe you're not looking at her, and she walks back to the table. Thank you for coming back to the table, even though her intent may have been to say, look, I'm throwing a tantrum. You're going to attend to the behavior that you want to see, and that will shape it. Okay. But if she's aggressive, you're going to let her know that I mean business, I'm setting limits. Special time is stopping because you hit me. But I won't do it again. Right. I promise.
She does that all the time.
Then great. Tomorrow we'll be able to have our whole special time.
Okay.
But as soon as she does anything aggressive or destructive, bam, end. Special time stops. You broke all your crayons. Special time stops. And maybe don't put crayons out next time.
Okay.
But we want to think about that. Now here, you come in, we've started, and 2 seconds into special time, she throws something at you. We're going to still do the same thing. You threw something at me, special time is stopping. Now I'm not going to say, thanks for coming, see you next week. But what we are going to do is stop it. I'll talk to you. You and I will have a conversation about, we may talk about your special time, we may talk about other things, but she will be ignored, special time will stop, and then we'll give her an opportunity to show that she can do it again. Okay. So we'll stop it briefly and then start back. But at home, bam, in, done, and you'll move on. Okay. So that's a lot of stuff that I've thrown at you. Absolutely. So we've talked about commands and questions and critical words. We've talked about praise, reflect, imitate, describe, and doing and enjoying. But that's a lot. So I want to give you a little bit of an opportunity to put it all together and practice just for a minute.
Okay.
I will tell you that at first it may feel a little bit awkward in the beginning, but it will become much more natural to you with practice.
Okay.
So what we'll do is I will be you, and you can be Casey for a minute, and,
Okay.
and then we'll switch.
Okay.
So. Oh, you put the potato head on the orange feet. Now you put the ear in. I like the way you're building a potato head face. You put a red tongue and purple eyes. I'm going to get some eyes,
And she likes to talk
too.
about what she's doing. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Because she always tells me about exactly what she's doing.
Okay, go
Like,
ahead.
I'm putting the earring on the ear.
You did put the earring on the ear.
And now I'm going to put this arm on.
You put the blue arm on. I like the way you're working so hard on your potato head. So very simple.
Okay.
So now we'll switch roles.
Okay. You make it look easy.
Well, you know what? Look at my age. I've had a lot of practice. So I want you to understand that at first it may not come easy, but I'll bet you in just a matter of a week or so, it's just going to be second nature to you as well. So I will be Casey,
Okay.
and I want you to think about your praise, reflect, imitate, describe, and enjoy.
Okay.
I found some purple eyes. And you
Just say you found some purple eyes.
nice reflection.
Okay.
And I'm going to put the green arm in.
You're going to put the green arm in.
Great, that was a nice reflection and good imitation.
Oh, nice.
I'm putting some hair up on my potato.
I like the way you put the hair on the potato.
Beautiful label praise. Yeah, it sounded very genuine. It sounded very natural. This is going to become very easy for you. And even in that small amount of time, you had opportunities to ask questions and you held them in check. So I think that's going to be terrific. We have to think about what kind of toys do we want to have for this special therapeutic time that you have every day with Casey and with Gloria.
Okay.
And I want to think about the purpose of CDI is to really engage and have fun and to build that relationship. And we want her to be able to lead the play. So we want to think about good toys to use during CDI. And first off, right off the top, I want you to think about creative toys, toys that pull for her imagination and whatever she wants, so that there's no rules. She can lead the play. You don't have to worry about anything. You have to worry about if she's taking turns or if she's breaking rules or doing something. So we want to think about creative, imaginative toys, like Potato Head. Toys like Tinker Toys, or toys like farm sets, or garage pieces, Legos and Duplos, crayons and paper are always great.
Okay.
Can you think of some other toys that you might have at home?
For creative stuff, what about paints?
Well, paints might be one. Remember, she's in charge, so if she paints all over your table,
that would not
not
go well.
go over well
No.
for anybody. So we want to think about, with Gloria, she's so little, you may just have pots and pans. You can have
easy.
play food sets, anything that doesn't have rules, that just pull for that imagination. So if we think about what we want to avoid, I would put those messy toys up there.
Okay.
So things like paint and permanent markers or glitter or things that can make finger painting that can make an absolute mess, I would probably avoid for
Okay.
now. We want to avoid toys that encourage rough play. So, superhero figures, action figures, Star Wars stormtroopers, those kinds of things, because their sole purpose is to beat up bad guys or to hurt people. And so we want to get away from that aggressive behavior, so we don't want toys that pull for it. Now, you have a nice farm set. That doesn't mean that Casey isn't going to take the cow and turn him into a rabid animal where he eats every other animal, but the cow doesn't start out that
Right.
way. Superheroes start out ready to beat up the bad guys. So we're going to stay away for those during special time. Toys that discourage an interaction, because I really want the two of you playing together. So things like video games, and you have wonderful learning, and you share with me you've got great learning videos, or even just some fun video games. But that focuses you on something else, and I want this to be between the two of you. Okay. So we're going to take away videos. We're going to take away toys that pull for pretend talk, like puppets, because they're still really little. And when the puppets talk to each other, that's the puppets talking and not the two of you. Okay. So taking away pretend talk toys so that you communicate really directly with Casey. And I think books are fantastic. I think the more we read with our children, we improve their vocabulary, their little brain connections. I think reading is truly fantastic, but not during special time. Because, for example, with Gloria, and with Casey to some extent, when you read, it's very passive. They sit and they listen, or you ask them lots of questions about what's in what the pictures are. Or with Casey, who's just starting to learn her letters, then you're going to have to do a lot of correcting and prompting, and we're taking that away. So read with them every day. I think that's fantastic. Have lots of books around, but not during this playtime. And so we're looking at those creative plays, no rules. So yes, I know both of you girls love playing Candyland, but let me tell you a secret. Kids their age cheat.
They do.
They want to win. That's their sole purpose, and they will cheat to do it. Play it another time, because this is really a positive time where you don't want to have to get into whose turn it is, and that's not the rules. Okay. So even with your Duplos, take out the building directions so they can build whatever they want without having to follow rules. So just those creative toys. So this week I really want you to take a look. Think about some of the toys that you have, and we can talk about any that you have questions about. Okay? But you mentioned that you had some, I know when last time when we were playing, you mentioned that she likes to play with Play-Doh.
Loves it.
And that's one of those things that I will let parents decide. If you are okay with Play-Doh, Play-Doh is a great toy. There's no rules. There's no way it has to be done. If you don't like your Play-Doh mixing, then only have one color out. If you don't care that it all turns brown, you can have all the Play-Doh you want. So Play-Doh really is up to you whether that's a toy you would want or not. If you feel like it gets too messy, then maybe you don't have it for special time. But if you feel like it's something that she likes to play with and she does pretty well with it, Play-Doh's a great toy too. Okay. Because I remembered you mentioned that one when we were talking when I first met you. Other toys that you might have at home?
Well, we have a set of potato heads.
Terrific.
That she enjoys. We have these kind of building blocks. They look like Legos. They're kind of big building blocks.
Oh, those mega blocks.
Yes.
Those are perfect toys for CDI.
And then she has these new things that they're out. They're called Fazoodles. They're, I don't know if you've ever seen those, but they look like pipe cleaners, giant pipe cleaners, and they get to make faces and all these fun things. Loves them.
And that's terrific. Those are wonderful because there's no real rules. She can make whatever she wants from those. Okay. So I would take out, because I know they come with models that they can come from. So you take those out. You can have them another time if she wants, but at the table, her and her Fazoodles, she'll just play with however she wants. Okay. And you'll be following her lead.
Sounds great.
Doing all those wonderful pride skills. So now I want to talk about, those are all great things. I want you to think about having maybe 3 choices for her to choose from each time, so she gets to sort of pick. So let's talk about what special time is all about, because I've been talking about it. You're going to avoid these during special time. You're going to add these pride skills during special time. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? And I don't have all day long to do it. Special time is going to be something that takes place every single day. And you're going to have your toys ready to go. You're going to think about a time it's just you one-on-one with Casey and then one-on-one with Gloria. And special time lasts all of 5 minutes. Okay, so you don't have to worry about all day long, but you want to find a time that you can minimize distractions. So not in front of the television, not while you're on the telephone, not when this is usually a time where you're playing with all the girls, but really just 5 minutes where it can be one-on-one.
Okay.
And special time is going to be the first limit that she's going to meet from you that doesn't move. So you're going to let her know that special time will start, and it will when Dad says it does.
Okay.
And you're going to let her know when special time is done, and it doesn't move. So no matter whether I whine or kick or scream or throw myself on the floor and kick and tantrum, it's done. 5 minutes.
Okay.
And we're finished. Near the end, you can let her know, I'm having so much fun playing, but our special time is almost done. I've had fun building potato heads. And when it gets ready to end, you can let her know that you're going to clean up the toys. She can help if she wants, but she doesn't have to. This is not her time. I promise you, when we get to the minding and listening phase, we'll be picking up toys. But right now, no, toys, you can pick up the toys. And we're thinking about 5 minutes because 5 minutes is long enough to provide that therapeutic effect that we really can change behavior if you give 5 minutes a day. It's long enough that you can practice the skills and learn those pride skills and practice not using the avoid skills. But it's not too long to make it uncomfortable, overwhelming, or frustrating. And let's face it, we're all busy. And so finding even 5 minutes to carve out sometimes can be a challenge. So we don't want to make it overwhelming to figure out how do I find 2.5 hours in my day. So 5 minutes. And I know that you play with the girls all the time when you come home from work, so you're playing with them way more than 5 minutes. But this is going to be a different type of 5 minutes. This is a very, very different time. You can call it special time so they understand it's a different time. And this is a time we're really working on providing some therapeutic skills to her to start to begin to change the behavior. I want to think about a timer.
Okay.
And I'm going to say no.
I was going to use the egg timer.
Yes. Yeah, the egg timer, the microwave timer, any of those, or even setting your watch for 5 minutes or your phone. I want this to be in your control, so when Dad says it starts and Dad says it stops, that's what's in control, not because the timer started or the timer dinged.
Okay.
This is really, you're going to be run by the watch, and in the beginning, I promise you, you're going to be going, God, I need a new watch battery. Time will creep by. But as you feel more comfortable with this and you see how much she enjoys it, this will truly become her most favorite time of the day. 5 minutes are going to fly by and you're going to think, oh, well, she won't know if I go 6 or 7 or 10 minutes. But I will, because here, when I tell you to tell Casey that special time is done, but Dad, you always let me play longer at home. See, she'll tattle on you. So, but I really want this to be a limit that she understands and it doesn't really change. When do you think you might be able to have a special time with her?
Best time is usually when I spend a lot of time with him is right after dinner. So we clean up as a group and then we try to spend a little bit of time together.
Oh, that's a great time. So after dinner. Because if you can find a time that's relatively consistent each day, then it's going to prevent the, Dad, is it time for special time? When can we have special time? Which they'll ask.
Okay.
If they know that after the dinner dishes are cleaned up, I get special time, my guess is you're going to get a little bit faster help and a little bit more excited help from the girls, because they'll know that after dinner, first one girl gets special time, then another one. You can do them back to back. One may be a morning, one may be night, one may be after dinner, one may be after bath. But they're one-on-one, not together.
Okay.
So you may put in a video for Gloria while you're doing special time with Casey, or vice versa. I know you live with your mom, so she may be able to watch one when she can, because I know she's busy too. But to think about that. And then we want to think about where you're going to do it at your house. Maybe a kitchen table?
Yeah, do you have a preference of some things that might be helpful?
Yeah, I think if you think about it, if you think about the kitchen table, like we've got this table here, if Casey's at the table and you're sitting next to her and the chair back is behind her, then she's sort of pinned in, which will get her focus right on this so she can give her undivided attention to what's happening on the table, so we can expand that. That will also get the dinner dishes cleaned up a little bit faster.
That's perfect
because we're going to do that. If you do it in the family room where the TV, like at a coffee table with the TV there, then that means nobody can watch TV during special time because you want those minimal distractions. So kitchen table is an ideal place for that. So it sounds like after dinner at the table, and you've mentioned some wonderful toys. So I think that's terrific. And what I want you to do, I'm going to give you some handouts. So this handout has all of the pride skills, all the do. It gives you praise, reflect, imitate, describe, and enjoy, and reasons why we use these skills and examples. And if you flip it over, you'll get all the avoids and the ignoring and what to do if there's destructive behavior. And then on this sheet, you see some ideas around toys. Toys that might be good and toys to avoid. And I'm going to give you this other sheet too that is sort of a homework sheet. It is a homework sheet that says you just put down, did you do it? Yes or no? What did you choose? And any problems that came up, you can just jot down for me. And you are welcome to go home and try it if you want this week. That will be fine. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with Casey and with Gloria. And we will schedule same time next week. And bring Casey with you. And we'll get started on the first phase of PCAT. I think you're going to be fantastic.
That's great. Can't wait.
Good. There you go.
Thank you so much.